Dane, what is your first impression when you think of Cooking with Jack show?
Oh, man, I think of that bagged chicken. Bagged/bad chicken.
Right. Would one of the first things you think about be child abuse?
Oh, my, no.
Apparently, that's now on the menu. We're going to go into that today because the Cooking with Jack show, a old podcast that he was on called Sunday Evening Coffee, episode 6, Jack and Tammy Scalfani, he has a story of him just being a terrible, terrible parent. I started noticing you guys recommended this video quite a lot in like our little recommendation document. And a channel called AugustTheDuck has recently made a video about this. But also, he recently put out a video saying Cooking with Jack is doxing me. To where in this video he explains that a family member of his got an email claiming to be Jack and threatening to dox him and his family if they didn't take the video down. So, of course, obviously, I have to make a video about it as well now, because once you start going down that path of trying to swing around the doxing thing, everybody needs to know about what's going on.
Oh.
Check out AugustTheDuck also if you haven't. We make very similar content. I think if you guys like me, you'd probably like him also. So we all kind of have the same opinion of Cooking with Jack, to where he doesn't really cook anything that well, but he has like this underlying ego the whole time. Like he just thinks he is the sauce boss, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that's what makes his videos so fun to react to, is because it's just like, he's making the best thing ever. You're going to love this. This is great. I'm marketing myself. I got commercials. I got sauces. I got things in store. I got all this stuff going on. I'm Jack, baby. And you're just like, yeah. All jokes aside, Mary actually I think she went through this whole thing and watched it, and she sent me some timestamps. So, thank you, Mary. And we're going to just skip straight to where Mary says he starts talking about his son's disobedience, which is about the 24-minute mark.
We did a great job parenting. We didn't do the best job, but we did the best we could at the time. The other side, who she's a totally sweet person, but was not strict at all. He had carte blanche. Yeah. So every weekend it was carte blanche, and every Monday or Tuesday we were hammering our kid to get him back into shape. Right. By the time Wednesday, Thursday rolls around, he's finally our child again. Friday comes, she picks him up.
I think he's talking about he being separated from his wife, and like he's going over to the other parent's house, I think. Yeah. And then he comes back and he has to hammer his kid back into shape. All right. Yeah. Interesting choice of words there.
It was rough. And he starts, because he couldn't handle it. I was Mr. Strict Parent, and she just didn't do anything. And it just messed him up.
I mean, just to interrupt again, he's painting this picture of like the mom in the picture that he's going to is just doing everything wrong. But Jack, being the great dad he is, he's doing everything right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's typical Jack.
Yeah.
Everything he does is right.
Yeah. Even if that chicken's literally bleeding, it's still right.
California high schools are rough. They're full of kids that don't want to be there, full of gangs, and
teachers that don't want to be there.
They're little jails. I call them little jails. And so he chose to hang out with his friends and become who they were, against our will, against our wishes. So we got him into building computers, and I took him to a shop in Huntington Beach every 3 times a week. He was interning there. They were teaching him how to put it all together, and that was where he learned how to smoke pot. And
so I like how they all look at each other like, yeah, them guys putting computers together. All they do is get high and put together computers, which may or not be true, but I just
computer store gang, man. That's one of the worst ones, kid. Let me tell you, computer store gang.
yeah. So he's falling into a bad crowd. Yeah, he's going to schools where they got child gangs apparently and all this stuff. And he's smoking pot. Oof.
It escalated, and he started cursing at Tammy and me and having rage issues. And there were 2 times. Once he put his hand on me, and it wasn't like he pushed me, but it was in an aggressive way. And I took him down to the ground. I threw him down to the ground. And then the second time, he put his hands on Tammy, pushed her up against the door. And I took him to the ground, and I was going to kill him. I was choking him out, and I hadn't fought since school.
Okay.
And the last time he had fought was when he was in
the gang schools. Yeah.
when he was in gang schools. Yeah.
So I think it's like,
oh man,
it's a part of the story here that he's being very vague. He says he put hands on me. It's not like he pushed me. He put hands on me, and he took him to the ground. So Jack here took him to the ground, and then was going to kill him. But his son has the rage issues.
Right.
And I hadn't fought since school. The only time you stop fighting in school is the principal's coming. But this was the moment I was choking him and screaming in his ears, "You don't ever touch a woman. You don't ever touch a woman." At the top of my voice, I was choking him so hard, his nose started to bleed.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know when to stop. And his friend was in the room and stepped over us. I don't remember him leaving.
His nose, he was choking him so hard, his nose started bleeding, and he's screaming at him. And his friend that was there left to get the police? Is that what happened?
Well, he probably didn't want choked out either, so probably a pretty awkward scenario to begin with. So,
The interesting thing was Garrett never fought me, never pushed back, never tried to hurt me or hit me. He completely submitted, which, out of respect, love, I don't know, fear, I don't know. I never understood that. So we had some.
He doesn't understand why his son didn't. His son put hands on him.
Dad.
Yeah, his son put hands on them, and his dad took him down to the ground and choked him until his nose started bleeding. And he's like, "Why aren't you fighting me?"
Jeez.
I don't understand. This doesn't make any sense. You have rage issues, son. I don't know if there's more to the story that Jack is just not telling here, because I think he's telling the story with the intent of being like, "Oh my gosh, my son. I can't believe he made me do this to him."
He made me do this.
Yeah. Maybe his son was just passed out. Maybe he was just having a brain hemorrhage because his whole face is bleeding.
Maybe his son didn't want to kill his dad, unlike his dad trying to kill his son.
Yeah, right?
God.
And the fact that he's just telling the story to these people like a badge of honor. Imagine telling this story to anybody.
I was gonna say, I think these two women just looked at each other like, "Oh gosh,
we better
what?
Be careful. He might start choking us out."
And that's when we had to let him go at age 16, and
let him go.
Say, "You're no longer ever allowed in this house. We will love you. We will, give you advice. We will do whatever you need, but we'll never give you money."
Then they kicked him out of the house.
So Dad almost killed him. Kicked his son out of the house. Afterwards, at the age of 16, you cannot have money. Wow.
And we won't give you a roof over your head, but we love you. We'll always love you no matter what. And you need to go.
Yeah, okay, yeah. We love you so much, but never return. You were banished.
Yeah. Good luck out there. I would give you money because, you might have to eat, but you know what? You're also probably going to smoke weed, so you can't.
And just before this, he was talking about blaming himself that he sent his son to the computer store to learn and was blaming himself on getting his son addicted to marijuana.
I encouraged him. I found the place, and I got my son hooked on drugs. I should definitely deal with that.
But now that he's caused this addiction and has tried to kill his son, he's got to kick him out of the house because they can't deal with him.
Oh, wow.
Amazing. Wow. Amazing logic here. Amazing. Jesus.
Jeez.
What else does he have to say? What other great things does he wish to share with everyone in this podcast?
And our plan was him coming back in tears, asking to come back into the house, hoping that he would come back for a second chance so we could forgive him.
Repentant, right.
Mom and Dad stepped in the way. And they took him in, and they enabled him to build an even worse lifestyle, give him carte blanche, and deal drugs out of their house.
So they expected him to come back crying to them, "I'm sorry, please let me come in." But he said, "I would rather not live with you. I'm going to go to the grandparents." And they said, "Okay." But then he started doing all this bad stuff out of their house. I don't know. Maybe, maybe there's just something in his childhood and the way he was raised that kind of just led to this rebellious behavior anyway. Isn't there a whole child psychology that if the parents are just so strict, those are the kids that rebel the most? Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
And then whenever have a disagreement, you're met with getting choked out till you bleed.
There's just a lot of blame. There's just so much blame going around. Like he literally like he blamed the kid's mom. He's blamed the computer people. He's blamed the kid. He's blamed his parents. He's blamed everybody. He's telling the story like it.
He's only wrong for taking him to the computer store.
Yeah.
That's the only thing he did.
Giving him the chance. And he's over here telling this story like he's a victim or something.
Your mom and dad?
My mom and
Your
dad.
mom and
Yeah,
dad.
my mom and dad. And
Was their perspective, they're just trying to offer help and...
they just didn't want him on the streets. Yeah. And I'm like, look, this child's never been on the streets. He doesn't know streets. He'll be back. He'll maybe sleep in the yard, down the street in the park, but he, and they ruined everything.
They ruined his master plan of making his son homeless so that he realizes that he needs his narcissistic dad here. I need to make him need me, guys. You're ruining everything. How am I supposed to control him if he realizes he doesn't actually need me? God.
He was supposed to go sleep on the park bench. How did you not know that? Oh, gosh, dude.
How dare those grandparents come in and be like, we don't want our grandson to be homeless. Yeah, shame on them.
We want to try to show him some love, which he might.
He probably came to him and said, let me tell you what dad did. And they went, oh, God, come live with us and stay away from that psychopath,
Yeah.
One of the interesting things was our son, Garrett, he would never rage when Jack Jr. was around. He would never let him see him. He would never rage. He probably would have broken everything in the house, but Jack Jr. was asleep when we kicked him out, and he didn't want to scare his brother. And
wow, clarity,
what a rage monster.
Yeah, what clarity during a rage. Like, I have rage issues. I can't control myself. But there's a baby asleep in the other room, and I don't want to wake him up, So, my rage issue. None of this adds up. None of this story makes sense.
I'm not sure if Jack knows what rage is.
Well, I think he does.
Well, I mean, he knows what it is.
I think he knows exactly what it is.
Yeah.
He's just reflecting that onto his son's anger and frustration with his own family.
But my son has been affected by an evil world, and he has, he still has never been back in the house.
He's still never been back. How much later is this, I wonder? Oh, actually, hang on. Mary told me. She's got a note over here for me.
Oh, okay.
He's 25. His son, he was 16 years old and they kicked him out. He's 25 now and never set foot back in the house. Maybe that's at the time of this recording because this was 3 years ago when this came out.
So that was 9 years there.
Yeah, potentially 9 years, but at the least, what is that, 6? Yeah, he's never been back in the house.
He's 25 now.
So yeah, he's 25. So Mary's right. Yeah, 25 at this time of recording. So it's been 9 years since all that happened.
What's your relationship like today with him? Do you have a relationship or?
Yeah.
We have an amazing relationship with him. Ironically, he tells us everything.
Really? He got such a great relationship with him. He's never been back in the house, but he tells you guys talk. Oh man.
He calls on Christmas.
Yeah.
We have an amazing relationship with him. Ironically, he tells us everything that even we don't want to know, to being jumped, to being stabbed, to what he's doing and where he's going, because that's what I've always asked. I said, if you're going somewhere, you're flying somewhere.
I like how she's going on this big tangent of like how he tells us when he's been jumped and stabbed and everything. And before this, like they ask like, what's your relationship? And he just kind of looks at her and goes, like he doesn't know.
Yeah. Remind me what our relationship is again, please?
And she's like, yes, obviously. He literally tells us everything. When he's going to the hospital, when he's about to die, he's constantly telling us.
So he's done that. He's very open more with Jack, because I don't know if I can handle a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, no. I don't need to know.
So, I mean, he tells me through Garrett, but
just the duality of all this. As a mother, I need to know. You need to tell me. But by the way, he also doesn't tell me as much as he tells Jack. And the lady's like, yeah, I don't need to know. Which is it? Which is it?
I can't handle it. And so, but our relationship's great.
Yeah,
great.
you only want to know when it's convenient for you? Like,
wow,
God,
man.
these people.
It's one of those things. You're like, we're praying he's our prodigal son. He's coming here for Christmas.
Oh, that's good.
And he's not staying in our house because he's still doing what he does. And
he's coming over for Christmas, but he can't stay because he's still a filthy sinner. And we will not support him, but we're still waiting for him to need us.
Right. Oh, man.
Which he never will again in his whole life. He will never, ever. You guys will be on your deathbed, and he might show up.
I mean, Jack Jr. knows everything about Garrett. He knows his whole lifestyle. He knows everything. And
man, of course, the baby, they talk about how much he loves him. They have villainized Garrett to Jack Jr.
Right.
Like I guarantee you that's what they're doing. They're in the house like, don't be like your brother. You know, he made all these really bad choices and had rage problems. We had to kick him out of the house.
You don't want kicked out, do you?
Yeah, you don't want me to choke you and try to kill you until your nose bleeds or anything, do you? Yeah.
God.
Breaks Jack's heart because he knows he lost his brother because of drugs.
He lost his brother because of drugs. It's the drugs' fault.
Yep. Ooh, Ken, this makes me mad. This just makes me mad.
I thought the stuff they cooked was ignorant, but this has got to be the most ignorant parenting mindset I've ever witnessed someone openly admit to. Especially like on a podcast. Oh my God.
Are they trying to convince people this is how you're supposed to do it?
Right. Yeah.
Like what was the topic of this podcast? Like, hey man, let's talk about the most crazy, ridiculous F-ups we've ever had. You know, like maybe that, but
like what were they expecting the result to be? Like with all those actions that happened, what were they realistically thinking was going to happen? That he was just going to like be sorry?
You're right, Dad. I'm sorry. Right at the point of bleeding, I realized you were right. I'm only worthy of love if I do exactly what you say. Oh my God, dude.
Dude, there's a fact. There's a fact when raising kids is that as a parent, you can only influence your kids so much. Like you can help them with their core values, their morals, and give them a safe place to come back to. But the most impactful thing on your child's like development and their personality is going to be outside factors, like where they live and who they hang out with. That's just a fact. Think back to when you're a kid. Your friends you hung out with influenced who you've become more than your parents ever could hope to. But they're like, it's like that concept doesn't even exist in their brain here on this. It's like, we need him to do exactly what we want to do. They introduced him to those people and those friends. Right. Like he even explains, like in the school, it's like mini jails, and like they have all their gangs, and then I send them to the store where they're smoking all this pot, and he became those people, and then he rejected it in the environment that he put his child in. You know,
right?
It's like, but it's like at that point, what do you do about it, right? Like what do you do from there? Which is the difficult part and the part they're struggling with. But I mean, not this.
I guess Jack just gave up. I don't know. He's going to blame everyone else anyway, so...
He decided to take the tyrant path of, like, you know, forceful obedience.
Right. Who does that ever work for?
We lifted him up and gave him to God. He goes, we will take care of him, but he is yours. Mm-hmm. And he is yours to do whatever you will.
I just love just the entitlement. We gave him to God. That's a personal choice of your own religious values. You know, your parents just can't hand you off to a deity. Here you go, God. Take him, you know. Oh, man.
You raise him. I obviously can't. All right. I don't want to choke him out.
That's another thing of just like patting yourself on the back. Like I grew up going to church all the time when I was a kid. I was heavily into the church. This is like, I've heard this so many times. It's always like a back pat for the parents. Like, oh, yeah. Good job, you. What a good parent. It doesn't mean anything. It literally doesn't mean, like, nothing changes. You just say it. I gave him to God. He's still here, and I still have to raise him. Nothing changed. Literally nothing changed.
Use him any way, shape, or form. We will support him no matter where you break his heart. But we will never tell him that he should be a pastor. We'll never mention the words. We'll never push him in any direction. And
I love that. Like he talked about the whole hands off thing of how like the mother in the situation, she didn't do anything, and that he just explained the whole thing of how they're not going to do anything. Right. It's all coming full circle now.
Oh, dude.
I'm not going to choke him out and try to make him stop doing anything. We're not going to. Oh God.
We're going to support him no matter what he does. But I tell you what, the other kid, man, we better not step foot in my house.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
If Junior wants to sell weed, we're not going to do anything against anything he does. Yeah, sure. Let's see if he goes start doing weed and see if Jack doesn't choke him out.
And at age 13, Jack's in the back seat and he says, Mom, Dad, he goes, I know I'm never going to be in the NFL, and I'm probably never going to be a rock star.
He never said this. The 13-year-old never said this, okay?
He goes, but I'm really, really yearning to be like a youth pastor.
No. No, he didn't. He's a 13-year-old. He still has dreams and aspirations that haven't been crushed by real life yet. He still wants to be an NFL player and a rock star.
Wow.
And that was the first time the word pastor was ever in a conversation with our child and us. Because we wanted to make sure it came from his heart and that we never pushed in any direction.
Anyway, I just gotta keep thinking about like the duality, like how the story of the first son goes from the second son. Like the first son, they were even trying at 13, they were trying to make him start his own business, and that's what led to them going to the computer store. But this one, it's because Jack Jr.'s mom is right here, and she's like, "Shut up, Dad! You obviously don't know what you're doing."
I'm not doing that with my kid.
Yeah.
Just recently was offered marijuana for the first time. What did he do? He called his brother, and his brother told him, this is what you do. You never go near it. And the best way to avoid the peer pressure is say, I have a breathing problem. Lie.
Why are they like...
But don't ever step foot in our house again. You know?
I don't get it. They
You love your brother
weed.
and you look out for him, but you will never step foot in this house.
I don't. They offered me weed. Well, lie to them. They tell me I have a breathing problem. Oh my God, there's so much peer pressure. You could probably tell them no, and they'd be like, "Okay, cool, man."
He also advised him, he says, do what Dad says. Do what Dad had it to do over again. I would have told him what Dad said. And
Oh, please. Please. Oh, my God.
He said all of this to pat himself on the back.
Yeah. He said this whole story. Like, how they even know this story happened? Like, the son came and told us. He's like, he also said to do what you said. Do what Dad says. You know, just so he doesn't choke you out and try to kill you. Just do what he says.
you know, I've advised people to sometimes you gotta let your child go to save the rest of the family.
Yeah.
Bible says, you know, you cut your arm off, rip your eye out, whatever you got to do to save the rest of the body.
What? And then he's advised people to let their children go at the age of 16.
Yeah.
And then quoted a Bible verse about like
Wow.
negotiation with the like people's like the hoops they jump through. Like I don't know what that whole like the one he's quoting is even talking about. Because it says cut the arm off, cut the leg off. Obviously that means I have to let my kids go. That supports what I'm trying to do. And you know the Bible's pretty cryptic, so I can just kind of manipulate it to say whatever I want to say. This is great. You know, woo!
Had Jack cut his own arm off, he wouldn't have had it to choke his son until he was bleeding to death.
Yeah.
You know, like
Because in California, you can get a green card and it's legal to carry.
Medical card?
Yeah, medical.
Yeah.
Well, they have their green cards, but yeah. Everybody has a green card for a different reason in California.
I know, I'm thinking, wait a minute.
they're not all welcome in your house either, I guess.
Yeah, we all got our green cards.
Everybody's got one, but not my son.
Yeah, we got the cookies out, you know, because we got our green card.
Jeez.
Oh my God, dude! Imagine the embarrassment, right? When like marijuana's legal now. No! What did I do all that for? Oh God.
I want to play tackle football with Jack. I want to play tackle football with Jack. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah, I like this comment. Okay, I literally didn't expect Jack to be a psychopath, but here we are.
here we are.
So we sit down, and Pastor Davis gets up there, and he's like, first thing I hear him say, we need to napalm the Palestinians.
All right, well, that's enough. I think we've seen it. I don't think we got to watch any more past wherever that story's going.
Man, I hope Jack keeps eating his own food.
Okay, well, that's it. That is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was, I can't wait to react to more Cooking with Jack episodes and like just really, really going in.
Yeah.
But anyway, if today's your birthday, happy birthday. So toast my friends, I love you. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Ooh, Ken, this makes me mad.